Hi, welcome back to my Bermuda expat series. This is the third video in this series, and today I'll be discussing how to move to the island of Bermuda. Before I get started, let me first give you some great reasons as to why Bermuda is such an attractive place to move to as an expat. Although this first reason is definitely misleading, it is arguably the biggest reason that expats want to move here. Bermuda is often referred to as a tax haven, which means that basically it is a low tax income environment, and this will impact everyone differently, but most likely this will mean that you'll get to keep a substantial amount more of your total salary after the taxman gets their cut. For full disclosure, Bermuda does apply a lot of taxes on goods and services, so by the time you pay all of your living expenses, this benefit might be outweighed depending on your job and your lifestyle. Check out my first video for more details about the cost of living on the island. Another great but very obvious reason is the fact that you'll get to live in Bermuda. If you don't already know what I mean by this, then simply type Bermuda into Google image search or check out my Instagram to see how beautiful this island is. You can literally be working during the day as per usual and swimming with the turtles during the evening. And also the way I look at it is why to spend all year working to save up to go on a holiday to a stunning beach location if you can have the option to live in one of those locations full time. I could go on and on with all the reasons to move to the island, but instead I'll try to dedicate a separate video that gives my opinion on all of the major pros as well as cons about living in Bermuda. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Now, before we get started, I want to make it very clear that I'm not an expert in this area. I'm just going to share with you all my understanding of what the opportunities are and why I believe certain rules are in place. Hopefully you'll find it helpful, and please do a lot of additional research before making any decisions. So let's get into it. The first and most important question is actually, can you move to Bermuda? And what do I mean by this? Well, Bermuda, like most other countries, doesn't just let anyone come and live in their country. You'll need to apply for a permission. I will get into another option shortly, but for most of us, this will mean that you'll need to get a job on the island. Now, I see probably you're thinking nah, no problem, let me know where I can apply. But not so fast, I'm afraid. Bermuda has in strict regulations to first and foremost protect Bermudians and make sure anyone with Bermudian status gets an opportunity to apply for all the available jobs before actually anyone can be considered for those roles. There is a legal requirement for all new jobs on the island to be advertised in the local paper, which is the Royal Gazette. I believe that the minimum amount of time the advert needs to be live on Royal Gazette website is usually 1 week. I'll add the link to Royal Gazette's job page in the description below so you can check them out. After a job has been advertised for this period, then the company advertising that job must go through all the applicants, Bermudian and non-Bermudian, and determine whether any candidates fit in this job description. If a person with Bermudian status has the right skills and qualifications and experience, then they must be considered for an interview first. As previously said, these restrictions are designed to protect the opportunities for the local population and allow every Bermudian resident a fair opportunity at what's available on the market before potentially being offered to an expat living on the island or internationally attract someone new to the island. Even though there are definitely pros and cons to this process, depending on which perspective you're using, it is very easy to understand why these rules are in place. This is a very small island with a total population of 60 to 70,000, which means there is already a limited supply of jobs in each industry and profession, but also there is a huge demand for those jobs. So let's assume that for the job you have applied for, it has been determined that no Bermudians either wanted that particular job or did not have the specific qualifications, skills, experience necessary for that position. Then what happens next? Well, now it becomes very similar to any usual job application process with one main exception. If you get through the interviews and your job and you're offered the job, your future employer will now submit an application for your work permit to the Department of Immigration. Your employer can apply for 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5-year work permits on your behalf, and if approved, this means that then you'll get to have right to live and work in Bermuda in that job for that period of time. When your work permit runs out, the whole process needs to be repeated again from the scratch. Depending on the situation and your job, you may wish to continue on the island and reapply for the job and get a new work permit. This process goes through all of the same restrictions as the first time around, so remember that there is no guarantee that you'll be granted a new permit. Therefore, if you are keen to explore this option and do eventually choose to go down this route, remember that your ability to live on the island is linked to your job, and I would suggest that you consider your experience in this island as temporary. There are exceptions whereby permanent residencies may be granted, but in all honesty, I don't know enough about to talk about them and discuss in this video. But if you would find that information useful, let me know and I can start researching this for a future video. That covers the main job process of how the job applications for expats work. So now let's talk a bit more about what type of jobs you can apply for in Bermuda. In theory, almost all types of jobs are available for expats to apply for. However, the Department of Immigration does maintain a list of closed jobs, restricted jobs, and special condition job categories. All the other jobs that are not a part of these lists are considered as an open job category. I will include a link to the job categories page on the Government of Bermuda's website in the description below. As a potential expat, you would not be allowed to apply for a job that sits within a closed job category. If the job sits within the restricted job category, then the maximum length of your permit will only be 1 year, along with the employer needing to demonstrate additional requirements that have been met before offering that job to you. If the job sits within the special condition category, then a unique set of requirements are in place for that specific job. For any other jobs, you are free to apply and follow the process that I have already explained, and hopefully it won't rain. Now, what jobs are available commonly on the island and which professions are most common amongst the expat community? By far, the largest industry in Bermuda is insurance and financial services. The island has grown to become a global hub for the reinsurance industry, which now makes up to a significant part of the total economy here. So this means that there is a large demand for skilled insurance and financial services professionals such as accountants, actuaries, underwriters, lawyers, compliance officers, IT specialists, and more. If you work in one of these professions or have experience mainly in the insurance sector, but also any other financial service sectors, then your chances of being able to find a job here are greatly increased. The second largest industry on the island is the tourism and hospitality industry. Bermuda has plenty of beautiful hotels, golf courses, bars, and restaurants that all need to hire experienced and skilled staff across a range of disciplines. The other sector that I have noticed that often have opportunities for expats are within medical and health industry, specialist jobs within the construction and trade industries, as well as opportunities within the public sector, such as teachers. If I haven't mentioned your specific skills, don't be deterred. I just covered the main ones that I have came across in my time here, and this is not to say that it will be impossible for you to find a job on the island. You may just need to be creative with how you market your skills and be patient for the right opportunities to become available. Before I move on to the other option for finding a job in Bermuda, let me quickly touch on the best ways to find about the new opportunities that come up. I have already mentioned actually by law, every job has to be advertised in Royal Gazette newspaper and also the website. Therefore, a great place to start is to check the website regularly and see if any vacancies pop up that interest you. These vacancies only have to be live for a short amount of time, so if you're keen, apply quickly and don't hang around. I have included the link of the website and a few other job sites in the description. Secondly, I would suggest reaching out to as many recruiters in Bermuda as you can, preferably those that recruit for your line of work, and also some specialist recruiters that will advertise jobs internationally for those positions in Bermuda, but they might not be based in Bermuda themselves. So make sure you do a lot of research and follow every lead you can, as you never know what opportunities it might lead to. Linked to this, I would recommend utilizing LinkedIn as much as possible. Update your profile and find and follow all the companies that are on the island that might need your services, including the on-island recruiters and the companies. This way you're increasing your chances of getting seen by any advertiser or recruiter on the island. Not to mention increasing the chances that one of those companies also may come across your profile while you're looking for a new role. Another suggestion is to consider tweaking your resume by acquiring more specific qualifications that would make you a better fit for the role on the island. I know this not be suitable for everyone, but depending on your situation, this might definitely help. Also, alternatively, if you have long-term plans, you can look into like reinventing yourself and building your skills into a career that is available on Bermuda. Finally, raining a little. If by chance you actually come across a company that has positions in Bermuda, don't be afraid to ask your company if a position is available in Bermuda that you would be interested. Okay, so I think that covers most of the options and advice I have about finding a job on the island. The other alternative option that I wanted to mention that has recently become available during the pandemic is the Work from Bermuda certificate. This option is often commonly referred to as a Nomad visa. So this option is relatively new. I am not 100% sure on all the details. However, my understanding is that you can now apply to work from Bermuda for 1 year, either by working remotely in your current job or funding your stay through your savings. I think there is also an option to study from the island for the year, but obviously you need to be able to afford the high cost of living on top of your study costs. Therefore, if this is something your employer would consider allowing, or you're fortunate enough to have plenty of savings in order to fund your experience, then this option may be available for you as well. And it is also possible to renew the certificate after 1 year if you want to extend your stay, but of course this is not guaranteed, and this will be reviewed on case by case by the Department of Immigration. A potentially huge benefit of this application is that Bermuda will not require you to pay any income tax on your salary during that year. You will, of course, need to seek professional advice to see whether you would still owe any taxes in your home country or the country you were currently performing your role from. Again, I will add the link in the description below in case this is something you would like to look into further. I think I have now shared everything I know on how you can move to the wonderful island of Bermuda. I really hope you found this interesting and useful. And if you want to see more videos or just want to support me, please do like and subscribe, and see you next time. I think I did well with the rain.